and welcome to Beads Jar. My name's Billy, and in today's tutorial I'll be making up these fabulous Paisley duo earrings and showing you how you can put them together in the comfort of your very own home. We're going to be making up this beautiful astral spiral earring, and we'll be using the Paisley duos to create this wonderful effect. So I've got two colour variations in the Paisley duos. We've got the size 11 Miyuki Delicas, and we've got size 11 seed beads. Just at the top here we'll also be adding an O bead, so I've got these rainbow effect O beads, and in the middle an 8mm pearl bead, but any 8mm bead will do that you want to sit in the middle of your project. I'll be threading the project onto the 8-pound Fireline, and I'll be using precision scissors and pliers for the finishing parts and the connections. I've already pre-threaded a size 10 beading needle with 1.5 meters of beading Fireline. For the first part of our project we'll be working with the size 11 Delica beads, and I'm going to add 20 onto my beading needle. The 20 are going to make a circle that will go all the way around my 8mm pearl. So we're wanting 20 of these size 11s. So I've got 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm just being very specific today because we need an even number for the peyote that I'm going to be doing. So 5, 10, 15 and 20. And I'll recount them as well once they're on. So I'm going to check again because, like I say, we need to be very specific at this point, otherwise the rest of the project won't be right. So I've got 5, 10, 15 and 20. I'm going to move the others out of the way. So there's our 20, and we're going to take that down the beading thread. So I've come down the thread and I've left about an 8cm end of Fireline. This is what I'm going to refer to as my tail end. So this is the side my beading needles come out of, and I'm going to go back around the actual beads. So I'm going to go all the way back through those beads again with my beading needle. And then I'm pulling that end, and now you can see we've got a loop of the beads formed, and I'm going to take my needle through the first one again. So you're just pulling that through, and now we've got a loop of beads, and just pull those tight. If you've got a bit of a bag in the thread, you just need to keep pulling that round and teasing it through. So you'll end up with a circle of the size 11s, like so. If we were to just place this bead on its own, it's going to pop out. So what we also need to do is to take our beading needle through our bead. So I've come out on this side of the Delica bead, and I'm actually going to post my beading line through the bead itself as well, and this will secure that so that it doesn't pop out of our circle. So there's the beading needle going through the bead, taking that down my wire, and then I'm going to go through one of my Delica beads. If it's moving about a little bit, don't worry too much at this stage, and you can always just pull both sides to to tighten that around the bead. So now we've got the beads going all the way around that spherical bead. And we're going to be adding our next row onto that with our Paisley beads and our size 11s. So we're forming a peyote stitch, it's called. So the bead I've got is coming out of the Delica here, and I'm going to pick up some more beads to thread. So I want to pick up one of the size 11 seed beads, and I'm going to go through my Paisley duo. If you notice, when I've gone through the Paisley duo, we are going through the top tapered end, and we're going to pick up a size 11 as well on the opposite side. So we've got a size 11, Paisley duo, size 11. We came out of this Delica, and I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3 Delicas and go back through the 4th. So there we can see I've added that to the outer ring of our Delica circle here. I'm then going to pick up again, so I'm picking up the same, a size 11 through the Paisley and another size 11. They're just the seed beads, those ones, not Delicas. And I'm counting again, 1, 2, 3, 4 and through. Just laying that, it's just got a bit of a spin, so we'll just lay it correctly. It's just the Fireline on that one. And we turn that round. I'm just moving the project. You can move your project round, you don't have to work so it's awkward for you. Move the project as you're working, it'll just make it a lot easier and you can follow your pattern. So we're picking up again. And we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4 and through. So we've made our first complete round of our peyote with the first row of Paisley duos. If you're noticing your project might seem a little baggy at this stage, do not panic. We're going to be also going around the exterior and adding in some beads at a later point, which obviously gives us much more rigidity and stops the beads, the Paisley duos, flopping about so much. So now we're going to move on to picking up our next colour of Paisley duos. So bring them into your, so they're easy to reach. And just before I start to pick up again, I want to take my beading needle and check where I'm coming out. So I've come out of this bead here, and I want my Paisley duos, the next row, to be in the middle. So I'm wanting to go through the next 3 Delicas on the row before adding my next bead. So I'm going to go through that Delica and the next 2. Do make sure you don't miss any as you're going through this point. So I've gone through 3 there. And that means when I add my Paisley, it will sit in between these 2. So there's my thread coming out of those. And before I start, I'm picking up the 11 and then the next Paisley duo. And another 11. So you miss 3 again, as we did for the first row, and then you're going to move on and keep adding. So we're doing the same again, 1, 2, 3, and going through on the 4th one. And this layer is going to sit higher than the first row, like that, and in between. So we're just going to keep going all the way around until you've got your Paisley duo here, and then that's completed this spiral. And then I'll move on to the next layer. We've completed the 2 rows of our Paisley duos here, so we're moving on to just adding a few tiny seed beads dotted around on this top section to fill in some of these gaps here. Gives you a much nicer finish. So when I did my last Paisley duo, I've come out with my thread in between these 2 top ones, and I'm going to add my next seed bead, but I'm wanting to place it near a sort of parallel with this first row of Paisleys. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to work my needle through the first 3 Delica beads, so the size 11 Delicas, the purple colour, on the bottom row. So you want to take your beading needle, so I've not picked any beads up, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 Delicas through, and then I'm picking up, and now I'm just going to miss 1 Delica, and the project looks terrible because I've just pulled it up, but as I've mentioned, we will be adding our beads across the bottom of these Paisleys so they'll sit all flat and perfect for us. But it doesn't look very nice right there. It looks like a squashed spider. So I'm going to do the same again. Go through the row at the bottom of the Delicas, parallel with the next Paisley along. So we can lay that flat again. So you've got to kind of go fishing underneath and find your next beads. So gone through them there and come through. Pick up your bead and across. Take your time with this. We're not in any great rush for this project. And you can see that's just filling in these gaps a bit on the top here. So I'm turning my project to make it easier to work. This one here is the tail end, so I'm just keeping that out of the way as well. So I'm going through until, so I've got 3 more to go through there that are hiding underneath. So I'm going to do those 3. Pick up and then under. And then lay that out. So I seem to have shifted my bead. I just need to get that back to where it needs to sit. So there we go, I can see what I'm doing again. My top bead is in the right place. And I'm going to pop another one here so it sits above those. So I'm wanting to get those next 3 underneath between my Paisleys. That's it. Oops, the thread's caught around the Paisley, so just make sure you don't do that. And picking up. I'm going to add one more here as well. So I've just gone through 2 there. And that's going to pull that seed bead to sit in the correct place on that one. And I'm going to add one more seed bead in between these. Move those out of the way. And over to your next Delica. Which is hiding. There we go. So as you can see, we've filled in the gaps on the top with our size 11s. And now we're going to go through some of our Delicas, and we're going to be coming round to make our spiral sit correctly. So let's move on to that bit. So coming out of our Delica bead here, and I'm going to go through the next Delica along, and if we go through that, and I'll just come out next to this size 11 to show you what we're doing. So I've gone through the Delica and the size 11, and I'm going to go through the Paisley. So the Paisley duo there, and at this point I'm going to go back. So this is the first time we're going through the bottom row of the Paisley duos. So coming back on ourselves this time. So you can see the thread there. This is the tail, so let's move that out of the way so you can see clearly. And now we're picking up a size 11 seed bead and through the next Paisley duo. And the same again. This bit's nice and simple. So we're just going around the whole spiral, connecting those Paisley duos together. I'm going to take this beading needle back up. So I've come all the way around in the circle, and I'm coming back through my first Paisley and the size 11 bead. And that's that tail end again, so I'm just moving it out the way so we can see what we're doing. And I'm going to come through, and I'm going to come out of the size of the next size 11 and the lighter colour top row Paisley here with the beading needle. And now I'm going to create the link for our ear wire, and as you can see, that's sitting much better now that we've added the beads on the bottom row. So if you imagine, this is going to be the top of our earring and what we connect our hoop to. So we're going to add the 5 Delicas here. So I'm picking up 5 onto my beading needle. And I'm coming back. So I've gone into the Paisley, but not the size 11. And that's given us our point of 5 here. I'm just going to flip this project on its back, so turning that over. So I'm coming out of this side, and I'm going to go up those 2 beads again and the third one and come out with my beading needle. And now I'm going to pick up one of my O beads. So So I'm going through the O bead with my beading needle and down the project. Just move that up a bit, and I'm going to go back through that top Delica. So I came out this side and I'm going the opposite way around, so opposite side in and out, and that brings our O bead down. And then I'm going to go back through the next two, so that's sat in the middle there to connect it to our ear hook. Back through my Paisley and the size 11 seed bead. I'm going to go one across again, so the next Paisley, and I'm going to create one of my first tying off knots. So I'm going to go between the bead, the size 11 bead and the Paisley, and I've hooked across the top of my beading needle the bead, the Fireline, and as I pull that through I have a loop forming here of my Fireline, and we go back through that loop with the beading needle and we pull that tight. Take your needle through the next 11 and Paisley, and that knot there is just going to hide in between those beads. I'm going to do a second one here, and through. Pull my knot and pull tightly as I pull that bead through. Pulling that up. What I want to do is to come back here as well with my beading needle to finish that off. So I'm going to take this through my next size 11 and the Paisley bead, now this is where there's a little bit of fiddling about because we're going to go up again, so up from the bottom row we're on at the moment to that first one. So I've come out of the side of the Paisley and I'm going to take my beading needle back through, so if I pop that up there you can see I'm coming out of the Paisley bead but on the top row. And this is the back of the project at the moment. And now you need to go inside and find your Delica row. So I believe I've got it there. So I've got the two Delicas and this is where my starter thread is. So I'm coming up from the bottom now. So this is the back of the project, as I say. So there's my starting thread, the end, and this is the thread we've been working with. And I'm going to tie a knot. So I've just got the two there together and I'm going to do my first knot. And I'm going to really pull on that now because I want all this tension to be correct. And then I'm going to take that knot. So I'm picking my beading needle up again and go through the next two Delicas and up. So completed 3 knots there. I'm more than happy that that's not going anywhere. This is my beading needle thread. So take your precision scissors very carefully, as close as you can, but without cutting through any of your project. Take that thread away. And then this is my tail end, so I'm going to do the same. And now I can sit my project face forward again, and we've got our O bead at the top. Take your pliers, so a pair of flat nose pliers, and your ear hook, and we're going to be opening the base of our ear hook to connect that to the O bead. So you'll notice I support the neck of the ear hook, so that means this part here where my thumb is, and I'm going to take my pliers to the side and I'm going to ease the loop open with the pliers. So I've come upwards in one swift motion. I do just want to make sure that I'm going to sit this facing forward, so I want that rainbow colour to face forward when I pop that into the loop. So you're just getting that O bead to sit inside, and then we just want to close that back together. So you can see that join there. And there you have two beautiful earrings. Thank you for watching our tutorial today. If you've enjoyed it, give us a big thumbs up, and you can always subscribe to see our latest tutorials online. We hope to see you again next time. Bye!